You've made it to Chiro Hustle Live. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro Sushi, Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic boot camp, California Jam, Move Well University, the Black Diamond Club, Pure Chiro Notes, the Chiro Dex app, Dr. Alok Trivedi, Chiro Spark, Chirogram, Chiropractic Wealth Management, 8 Weeks to Wellness, Integrative Freedom, and Element Mattresses. Let's hustle. Welcome to the afternoon stream of Chiro Hustle Live. I have Anthony Zahor over there. He's in Chicagoland, and I am out here in the Grand Valley of Grand Junction, Colorado, on the western slope where no one lives. And the Chiro Hustle movement is in full effect today. This episode is brought to you by 8 Weeks to Wellness. Their philosophy is if you give us 8 weeks, we'll change your life. And first and foremost, welcome to the show, Anthony.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, I've been looking forward to this opportunity to share your message because I know that it wasn't always easy for you. No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was saying it's, but one of the first things I've learned was it's the harder things are, the more you're going to grow. And that's just one thing that's really resonated with me since the start of it all. And just helped me keep going.
And I know that you have a very distinct background. Like I said, it wasn't always easy for you. Let's talk a little bit about fitness, nutrition, and bodybuilding. I think that's a sweet spot for you.
Excellent. So where do we start? Just always loved lifting. And it kind of goes back to high school too, where I kept on getting injured over and over again. And I always thought, like, why was it? I didn't think that there was anything wrong necessarily, but I kept on getting hurt and hitting these plateaus. And it wasn't until I actually got to chiropractic school, got to get adjusted regularly, that these plateaus stopped happening. And it was just amazing because then after that, I was able to do shows for real.
So what is an injury plateau?
Well, the big ones for me were shoulders and low back. Low back started in high school with a pole vaulting injury, stress fracture at L4. And I'd gone to the chiro then, and after 3 visits, I was out of pain, but it didn't actually correct the problem because it happened again junior year and then toward the end of senior year of high school. So, I mean, it just, feeling and function are just totally different things. And I didn't fully understand it until getting to chiropractic school.
So I know that it's a big story for you, but how did you actually dial it in to the point where you actually started balancing out your nutrition with your workouts to getting to the point where you could do competitions?
Right. And so with that, my undergrad was exercise science, human performance, and fitness. And having that knowledge, but not acting on it, was probably my biggest mistake before, starting grad school. But then after, getting the knowledge that we all get at Palmer, Biochem 1, Biochem 2, no matter how many times you have to take it, like, the science is there, and it just helps you learn how to get healthy and healthy effectively.
So now that you're a doc and you're out there practicing, has it been easy for you since you've been out of school for the past year?
Well, it's been an interesting transition because up to the point of graduating, I was in school my entire life. And I know a lot of my friends that were there had, switched career paths, wanting to become the chiropractor. And so they knew, what life was like outside of school. And so with that, I'd say that was the biggest change for me, is like not having the class times that you went to and studying afterwards and not having to make it at the same time. That'd be the biggest thing for me, was that transition.
So
school to work.
Yeah, and I know early on we discussed that you had some injuries going into the chiropractic profession and getting into school. How has chiropractic become a part of your life now that you came from school of, I don't know how many years you went to school, 7 years, undergrad, including your doctorate degree.
Right.
How did chiropractic become a part of your life?
Well, the other thing, and Jim, we didn't get to talk about this before, but I had problems with anxiety And I know a lot of people, when they hear that, they're thinking C2. And for me, that was it. And that was the big thing. Like the first trimester was you're like getting involved in all these techniques, and everyone's like saying, "Oh, try this one, try Gonstead, try all that stuff." And the one thing I noticed was no matter what technique people were like, trying to find the subluxation, it always had that listing at C2. And I thought how incredibly impactful that was. Simple, but impactful.
And why do you think that people hold on to chronic subluxations?
The biggest reason why patients do, or why people in general, they don't know that they don't know.
So is your C2 starting to hold?
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh, since first try on, that's been getting way better. I mean, starting like first trimester getting adjusted regularly, it definitely has gotten way better.
So this is one of the questions I like to ask people too is, did you get adjusted before you went into chiropractic school, or did you not start getting adjusted until you were actually in school?
So the first time getting adjusted was in high school for the low back, that stress fracture. Because it was partial and it healed, I was in one office for 3 or 4 visits and the pain went away. But over time, my back would still get injured. Unfortunately, there wasn't a program set up where there was a beginning, middle, and end. So I just didn't think about continuing it until getting to school and realizing that there has to be a plan.
So I know you went to the Fountainhead.
Yep.
You lived in Davenport, Iowa for a while. When you were at Palmer, was that program what you expected it to be?
Well, yes and no. No, in the sense that you can never know exactly what it's going to be like going in. But in a very literal sense, I wouldn't have changed it for anything in the world. If I could do it again, I absolutely would. Wouldn't change a thing. And it's funny because I just had someone come in yesterday, and they decided that after being a biology major now for 2.5 years, they're going to be choosing what kind of chiropractic school they want to. I told them, if you choose Palmer, it's close enough to where your family's at, but far enough away that you can get done what you need to at school.
That's cool.
So it was really inspiring. It's my first in practice students wanting to go to chiropractic school. So now my last.
Well, I know that it's
right. Mm-hmm.
something kicked me. I'm back.
Cool, we're back.
Yeah,
so Headspace.
Yeah, I mean, you're at like the pinnacle of profession. Remember, right. I asked you, I was like, so when you're a little kid, when you're 5 years old, what do you say you want to do when you grow up?
Yeah, fireman, policeman, or doctor.
So you're in a select group of people, and it seems like that people start to peak and then they start to decline with their self-esteem at a certain point of becoming a chiropractor. How have you kept your headspace solid throughout that transition?
Right. So while in school, having an excellent support system amongst peers. The other thing is knowing that other people have gone through exactly what I did. And so it kind of takes your personal feelings out of the equation of the issue, and that it's just something that you have to overcome because it's something greater than yourself. That's been the biggest thing for me as far as moving forward, being prepared to be uncomfortable.
Well, let's talk a little bit about mentors. Who have you looked to for advice as you've gone through this journey?
There are a lot. Every chiro in Chicago, there's too many to name right now. Some of them already liked it. Do you want me to go on the whole list?
Yeah, let's let it rip, man.
Okay, so Vince Bertolini, first and foremost. Rory McKenna as well. Kid is a sweetheart. Jimmy Lopez.
Love that guy.
Yep, he's incredible. Let's see. I know I'm leaving names out now. It's in a lot of ways too. A lot of the DCs back in Davenport too. Like Mally. I did the extremity seminars, and it's kind of like a football coach, but knows what he's talking about. Tim Erickson, all the pie guys, Dr. Bazin. Let's see. God, there's just so many. Like being put on the spot. Dr. Warman, Dr. Beth. Let's see.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle Live. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro Sushi, Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic boot camp, California Jam, Move Well University, the Black Diamond Club, Pure Chiro Notes, the Chiro Dex app, Dr. Alok Trivedi, Chiro Spark, Chirogram, Chiropractic Wealth Management, 8 Weeks to Wellness, Integrative Freedom, and Element Mattresses. Let's hustle. No, it's great, man.
There's just so much, and yeah,
I love how being your true self shows vulnerability, even when it comes to mentorship. And I feel incredibly blessed to be a part of that Pie Brother family, not being a DC.
Absolutely.
And I think that says something about your heritage, where you've come from. And I think that it's important. My brothers, they see me traveling all over the world, but they'll tell me always, the thing that we like most about you is you don't forget where you came from.
Exactly.
So paying like tribute to the people that are there for you in the good and in the bad. I think that's a really important thing to continue to do. So even though you might not have remembered everybody that's had a profound impact on you, I think that
all the names are just going to come out right as soon as we hang up. I'm like, no.
No, but it's really cool.
You know who you are.
So I'm really curious. Where do you see yourself in the chiropractic profession in the next 5 years?
Right. The best thing is that what I've noticed in patients coming in is they understand our paradigm. They just don't know that it's the chiropractic paradigm. And so personally, I see myself with others uniting to lead as doctors that can hold themselves accountable, looking healthy, being healthy, practicing what they preach. In clinic, outside of clinic, universally.
So really practicing the chiropractic lifestyle, not only as a practitioner, but as a leader for your clinic.
That's right.
So let's talk a little bit more about vulnerability. What would you tell your younger self that was getting into the first year of chiropractic school? This might help some students out there too. Mm-hmm. What would you tell your younger self if you could go back and maybe rewrite like a little bit of, some of your early struggles?
Right. So there was something that's always resonated with me, like seeking and pursuing being uncomfortable. But I guess it goes back to realizing that other people have been through this process as well. You had said we're a part of, an elite group that are doctors that help people, change their lives for the better naturally. And it's just like realizing that there's what we're doing is something greater than ourselves, just focusing on that, because then everything else falls into place.
That's cool, man. I think that there's a lot of people out there that are going to learn from you, that are going to see that you're in a position of, being a chiropractor. I think that that's just such an honorable place for anybody to live. And like I was saying, my mom always used to tell me that I'm only as good as the company that I keep. And now I'm surrounded by chiropractors, welcomed like warmly into the chiropractic circles, welcomed into the chiropractic family. And I think that has a lot to say about, being able to have you on my live feed today. I don't know. You were still a student when we first connected.
That's right. And I'm glad I've gotten to see you and your company grow as well through the process. It's been really exciting. And I know we talked about that before, but it's just so cool. Like it was a documentary and now it's a company, you know, a website where you're always, you know, doing live feeds with other doctors. It's really, truly inspiring.
Well, I think it actually gives a space for people to share their message, to be appreciated for their achievements. It's given the chiropractic student a voice. It's given the chiropractic woman a voice. It's giving the young DCs like yourself a voice. And I think it's actually something that's going to start rising the profession to a higher degree once we all realize that Dr. Ed Osborne, who is one of my early mentors on to developing into this person I am today, he always said that we're more alike than we are different.
Right.
And when we go back to the tenets of that, we realize that all chiropractors are more alike than you are different.
Absolutely.
So chiropractically speaking, we should all join arms and be more supportive of each other as a profession as a whole, and to push this forward and file the old conversations that exist in the profession and the old dogmatic approach of whatever it is, a straight or a mixer or whatever, weak philosophy that actually tears each other down instead of brings each other up.
I would agree. And one thing I think, advice for students, especially on that tangent, is just listening to the other side, whatever side they feel they're opposed to, like to other students, because you're always going to learn more being open-minded. And they have great results too with what they do. So it's one thing to unite together. I think it's really powerful.
So is there anything that I didn't cover with you that you'd like to share with our audience?
I can't think of anything else.
Cool. Well, I guess the last question for you is, how did you develop the technique that you practice with today? And how did you build so much certainty in your practice style?
Right. I know every spine's different, and I know it takes a lot of things from other techniques, and that's why when I was in school, I would always go to different technique seminars because not every patient is going to adapt the same way to one technique. And so it's exciting to share that with other chiropractors, even when I was in school, sharing with them the techniques that I do, and just going over my rationale with it. And nothing's greater than hearing them say, "Oh, this makes sense." And it's like, yeah, you got to think about it like you're looking through that person. And this is something I do a lot. And it always has, like you had mentioned before, the word certainty. There's so much certainty with it where you can visually see where the fixation is and correcting it every time.
So, Dr. Anthony, Jimmy Lopez just commented.
What's up, Jimmy?
What's up, my man? Keep rocking, Jim. Make it a great day, fellas. And, I can't tell you what it means to have the audience participation. So I'm going to take a second before we wrap things up and go down and say thank you to some of the people that have commented into us.
Totally.
Dave, do you know who Dave Major is?
Yes.
Okay, so Dave,
you couldn't see it.
Yeah, but Dave Major has been doing chiropractic screening events for 35 years. The guy is legendary status, and to have him even tell me he can't see me on this live feed is, in my opinion, it's having a legend of chiropractic watching what we're doing right now. So thank you, Dave, for being on the live feed with us. Tim McFadden, he's an upper cervical doctor out of Yakima, Washington. He's also a member of the Chiro Sushi family, the Samly. And I saw Chantel's name. Do you know, I'm going to put her name up there. Do you know how to pronounce Chantel's last name? Picorni?
I believe Picorni, yes.
Okay, so Chantel Picorni can resonate with you back to your comments about school. School to real world transition is super weird. Agreed.
I couldn't have put it better. Yeah, and the emphasis of super in all caps. Couldn't agree more, Chantel. He knows.
And then we got our homeboy Vince Bertolini.
Bertolini, yep.
I saw him at the Go Get Talks event this past year.
That's right.
In Chicago. Dude is just on point. He's very honest, very non-specific with how he sees the chiropractic world, but very specific on relationships. So I got to throw it out to him. Thank you for supporting our live feed today. And let's see if we have anybody else to chat with. But it looks like we've had good audience participation today. And I would have to say, me being a journalist, going through journalistic, a program,
Right.
what you learn in school, and this is very, this crosses over really well, is going through school, you don't realize where you're going to be in 10 years after you finish your degree. And I had no idea that I was going to jump in and be a supporter this heavy of the chiropractic message. But I'll tell you, Anthony, when I really did a soul searching, I wanted to know what I could do to support something I believed in 100%. And out of everything that I could have possibly chose to be a part of and to build my university, my family, I thought that chiropractic was something I could support 100% 10 years from now.
Beautiful.
So it was something that I saw a lot of promise in, and I do see that BJ Palmer quote, or the Edison quote, that the doctor of the future will interest his patient in the human body. And I think that is something that rings true for me today, is I think that you guys are the doctors of the future, but not only the future, but the present. And
appreciate it, Jim. Glad to have you with us.
I think that, the things that we got a chance to talk about are very impactful. And, it's not always easy, man. Just being honest. I don't know how I held on to the chiropractic philosophy as strong as I did. I don't know how I held on to the chiropractic profession as strong as I did. But there's one thing that I will tell you, is that the adjustment changes life every time.
Yes, it does.
So with that being said, I'm going to wrap up and thank Dane Donahue and 8 Weeks to Wellness for sponsoring this episode of Chiro Hustle. And their philosophy is, if you give us 8 weeks, we can change your life. And I think that if you give Dr. Anthony one adjustment and a care plan, he'll change your life.
100%. Thanks, Jim.
All right, man. Well, thank you for being my guest today. And
the pleasure was all mine.
Have a blessed rest of your day. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, Vince, for the last comment there. And we'll see you guys on the next one. So keep Chiro hustling.
Awesome. Take care, Jim.
All right, see you, Anthony.
Thank you for listening to Chiro Hustle Live. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.